Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and today we're going to be going over the 2019 GT all-wheel drive Challenger. They have done some unique and distinct styling for the 2019 GTs, but we'll get into that more into the video. This vehicle is being provided to us by Larry H. Miller Dodge Ram in Sandy. If you are in the market for a new Dodge Ram, Jeep or Chrysler as well, definitely give them a check out. If you are stopping for the first time as well, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe. And as always, we'll do a quick walk around, go over the key features, and then we will take the GT out to see how it drives. So coming under the hood here of the 2019 GT all-wheel drive Challenger, we have a 3.6 liter V6 that's routed through an 8-speed automatic transmission. And in terms of fuel economy, you're gonna be 21 around town, 27 on the highway, and then 24 combined. And then power outputs are actually 305 horsepower and 268 pound-feet of torque, so that's actually really strong. And I picked this particular car because it is finished in plum crazy purple. It's a really beautiful color, and you can see here in the light it has a really nice sparkle to it as well, but it's one of the best color options you can go for. So if you are getting one of these, I definitely recommend looking into this color. Now stylistically, you're going to notice that this has a little hood scoop that they borrowed from the SRT Challengers, and so they changed that for 2019 just to make it look a little bit more aggressive. And you can see that kind of carries with the whole front end look as well. And then you can see it has that front splitter that, if you remember, again, something that was on the SRT. So they've carried that down just to make this look a little bit more aggressive. And then as always, you will get your little halo LED lights up front with the projector HID lights. And then you can see your little adaptive cruise control thing just at the bottom of the bumper. So these rims are actually 19-inch rims, and they're called black painted noise. Not exactly sure what that means, but they're kind of like a gray. It's almost like the granite crystal that they actually do on these cars, and so it's a really interesting and cool wheel design that they do. Now coming around back, this is the key fob for the Challenger. Sorry, I'm not sure if it's focusing very well, but you've got your lock and unlock function, you have your tailgate release, and then you have your remote start as well. All you have to do to do the remote start is just press the button twice. First time we'll lock it, second time we'll start it up. You'll hear that 3.6 liter V6 start up, and then if you do want to turn it off, all you have to do is press that remote start function again and the car will shut right off. The other function is the tailgate release, so you just press that button twice. The tailgate will unlock. You do have to manually lift it up, that being said, so just come here, pick this up, and then you'll see the trunk space. Just like all the other Challengers and Chargers, there's a ton of trunk space, so you're not going to have any issue with that, and you can fold the seats down too if you need. Now to tell if this is all-wheel drive, you're going to get a little Dodge badge with a 4 in it to signify that. The backup camera is integrated into this black spoiler, and then you get LED lights on both sides in the back with the dual exhaust. And as always, I'll throw in some exhaust clips so you can see how the 3.6 liter V6 sounds. Stepping around to the side, you get keyless entry, so one touch to lock it. To unlock it, you just have to put your hand on the back of the door handle, and that'll unlock it. And now that we have the door open, we can look at the panel here. We're gonna have all of our window controls here on this side, your mirror controls right there. And then you can see this has the Alpine sound system, so it's a 9-speaker sound system with a subwoofer, has a really good premium sound to it. So starting on the side of the seats, we have the lumbar controls right there, and then you have the power adjustments. The function to actually put the seat like forward or backward that way is still manually adjustable here on the Challengers. Now there's a little loop that you can put your seatbelt through, but there is this latch on the back that you can grab on the seat, so it's easier to get into the back. We can see the back seats here. There's little cup holders right there you can pull down, but they're finished in the same suede inserts that the front seats are finished in, so they have a really good aesthetic to them. And in terms of a muscle car, this has quite a bit of space in the back seat compared to the Camaro or the Mustang, and so if back seat space is important to you, then this is the route to go. Now over here we have our controls for the lights, and as always I usually just leave them in automatic mode, let it do everything for me. If you push it in, you can do the fog lamps. That's for your gauges, and then you've got your trunk release right there, and then on the side of the steering wheel you have the power adjustment to adjust the steering wheel. Now we are going to step in here and close the door. Step in height is actually not bad at all. This is a little bit lower to the ground since it's a car, but it's not super low where it's uncomfortable to get in and out of. To start up the Challenger, all you have to do is put your foot on the brake and push the push start. That will start the Challenger right up, and the gauges will do a little bit of a sweep. It'll say Challenger so you don't forget what car you're in. Now this particular Challenger is optioned out pretty well with a bunch of safety tech. So this is your regular cruise control. You have your adaptive cruise control down below, your voice commands for the Bluetooth and calls, and then you've got this for the center screen. We'll go over that momentarily. You've got rocker panels on the back of the steering wheel to change the radio stations, but then you can see the paddle shifters here, which are linked to that 8-speed automatic transmission if you do want to shift the gears yourself. And then the steering wheel is all leather. It's really comfortable. I definitely like how the bolsters feel on the steering wheel. They're really nice to grab, and it's a bigger size steering wheel, so you don't need to put a steering wheel cover on it or anything like that. It's more than big enough. Now here in the center stack, we've got our RPMs on the one side, we've got the speedo on the other side, and then we have this configurable center screen. So this will give you a bunch of different information in the vehicle. I always just leave it to be a speedo, but you can see different little tidbits of information here on the vehicle. You can basically look at any bit that you want, and it's just nice that it gives you all of that. Coming around, here is the touchscreen. This is the 8.4-inch screen. I've gone over this with several of FCA's other products. And so if you want a little bit more in-depth look to a couple of the functions on it, then I recommend looking at, so for example, my red eye video that I did, or my Hellcat video that I did. So like on the performance pages, that's something where you can look at different bits of performance. You can look at like horsepower, torque, 0 to 60, all that kind of stuff on the car. And this is all drag and drop, so you just have to hold things down. You can put whatever you want into this little sidebar here. And speaking of this sidebar, this is going to come with dual zone climate, so you are going to get climate for the driver and for the passenger. That's all configurable via the touchscreen. There are some analog controls. I'll go over those a little bit later. But this also comes, since it has these upgraded seats in the front, heated and ventilated seats, and then you get a heated steering wheel on top of that. Now finally on the touchscreen, we will go over the backup camera. So all you have to do is put the car into reverse. The backup camera will pop on. What you're hearing beeping is the parking sensor. That actually pops up in this little center screen right here, telling me I'm a little bit too close to something, but the trajectory lines move as you turn the steering wheel. Down below here, we have all of our analog controls. So you got analog radio controls here. Analog climate controls are down below. Turn off your parking sensors. Now you've got your sport mode, which you can go into. So you press that button, it'll show a little racing flag here in the screen, but basically that'll improve throttle response. The transmission, it'll change the traction control a little bit as well, so it kind of just changes the whole nature of the car. And then the Super Track Pack, that kind of goes into the setup, so that's where you can control the launch control. That's where you set the RPMs, and you bury your foot in the brake, bury your foot in the gas, let go of the brake, the car will launch for you. But this is where you can configure the drive mode. So for example, you can change everything that's in the sport mode how you want it, so it's nice that it's all configurable like that. Right here we have our shifter for the 8-speed automatic transmission. You've got that manual shift mode, and like I said, that's linked to those paddle shifters, but it is a little bump stick too, so if you want to shift the gears with the bump stick. We have a couple cup holders right here. We've got the little center console, so leather on the top, contrasted stitching, but you can come in here, you've got a bunch of little charging stations, so USBs, auxiliary, 12 volt, and it is all lined with felt so stuff doesn't slide around. I briefly went over these seats, and I like the design on them. They have these nice bolsters, so they're going to hold you in place, but they're not super tight where it's uncomfortable. You all know that I have a Shelby 350, and those seats are really kind of tight, and so they don't fit a lot of people, but these seats being a little bit wider are going to fit more people, and the suede on them feels really, really nice and premium, and it just gives the seats a nicer aesthetic overall. Coming over here, we have the glove box. That's also lined with felt. You get a little shelf on the top there that you can see, so you can kind of make little compartments with where you want to store stuff. Finishing things up on the interior, it definitely has a nice aesthetic to it. They do softer touch on the dash, and they do some nice stitching on the door panels that I went over before. And so, you know, it's not like a crazy high-end luxury interior, but this also isn't going for crazy high-end luxury prices. And so for the price point this car is at, the interior is more than adequate. Now that we're done going over the interior and the exterior, all the functions and features, let's take the GT all-wheel drive Challenger out to see how it drives. Starting off here in the 2019 Challenger GT, and this is actually built off the same platform as the Charger GT that I recently did, and so a lot of the same things that I'm going to say driving characteristic wise are going to be the same for this car as it is for that car. Ride quality is really smooth, and this chassis feels really solid overall. It just has like a nice solidity to it, and it actually handles really well. So I've taken it around just a few corners so far, and there's not really any body roll that I'm noticing. and so it's actually a really nice handling car. As always, we will take the Challenger out onto the interstate to see how the ride quality is there, test the acceleration with this all-wheel drive system and with the V6. We're going to pop the car over into the sport mode while we do this acceleration, just so we can get the most power out of it. It is shifting at a little bit higher RPM, and in terms of power, this V6 actually has quite a bit. It is more than enough power for daily use. It got up to highway speeds, I mean, just like that. It was really, really good. Now I'm going to shift it back over into the normal mode. It's going to drop down a few gears, and this is going to be your best fuel economy. With this mode, it's really comfortable to drive. Ride quality is really smooth. You could just go on really long drives with this, no problem. And since this has all-wheel drive and you can drive in all weather conditions, you really could drive this car every single day in all types of weather. I didn't touch on this too much, but the other thing with the daily usability is this does have quite a bit of safety tech. So you've got the blind spot monitoring, which one of them's illuminated right now telling me that someone's in my blind spot. And with the adaptive cruise control and all that kind of stuff, it makes it so this car is super easy to daily drive. You have all the usability. You just set the adaptive cruise control on the highway and just go, and it'll do everything for you basically. To sum things up, this is a very, very unique car. It's the only all-wheel drive muscle car on the market right now. Ford doesn't offer anything, Chevy doesn't offer anything, and so really this is all that's out there. And so if you're in the market for a muscle car and you live in a place like Utah here where it snows, you know, almost half the year, and you wouldn't be able to take your, you know, RT Charge or whatever, you know, whatever car that you have out in the snow, but you want that muscle car look, this is the car to go for, because it gives you the muscle car aesthetics, but then it gives you the daily usability that you need out of a practical car. And there we have it, everyone, the 2019 GT all-wheel drive Challenger. And again, a shout out and thank you to Larry Miller, Dodge Ram and Sandy for providing us with the vehicle today. If you are in the market for a car, definitely give them a check out. They will hook you up. But as always, if you're stopping in for the first time, please subscribe, comment down below what you thought, and then I will see all of you in that next video.